up?
Is this Yuwei Peng? Oh shit!
It was like we're vlogging, us vlogging each other. This is like... You
guys are in each other.
Yeah, we're basically in each other, yeah.
Jesus, dude.
Joon's OP, dude.
He played the stock combo.
JKTCG.com for all of your English Weiss Schwarz needs. This guy just won JP Nats. Congratulations to Joon.
Alright, hey YouTube, strictly broken.
Hey, no, it's my
Oh yeah, you're right.
How's it going, guys? Peshcats here. Today we're looking at my AOT deck that I played at JP Nationals in New York for WGP. First I need to give a shout out to this guy, Neel. He let me borrow like the entire deck and somehow simultaneously let Connor Pelham borrow an entire separate AOT deck at the same time. So,
Who's filming?
And filming this video today we have Strictly Broken himself, Yuwei Peng, the Penguin. So anyways, we're gonna be doing a deck profile. I changed last minute to running the 3-2 Mikasa level 3. I was originally running a 8-win restand build. It was similar to the one Kit ran, but it had some slightly different options. But anyways, starting off with the level 0s, I ran 4 copies of the Armin runner because it's yellow. Oh, by the way, before I start, I'm gonna mention that the yellow to, or like the miss to hit ratio for the Armin in this deck, I believe is 30 hits. Oh no, 29 hits, 20 misses if you're not counting the Armin itself. So, yeah. Anyways, 4 Armin runners. He's 3-5 if you have 5 or more hand, and then he can run a center. Center runner, obviously not as good when you're trying to combat on reverse from your opponent, but like ideally in this matchup you want to be hitting level 1 before your opponent, so they have like a bunch of zeros, and then you can just use your combo and like wreck all their zeros. But the main reason that you would want to run this in higher copies over the Mikasa is because it's yellow, so this doesn't end up being a missed target for this. And also the Mikasa, she can whiff on her mill if you mill the maneuver gears. Also, if you mill one of these 2 Titans, which I run in the deck. These other guys that like they played AOT, they didn't run this in the deck, but I liked it a lot. And it's because I didn't run the Mikasa change to healer line, and I'll explain why in a bit. 4 brainstorms. I ran the yellow brainstorm. I mean, like it's yellow. Yellow brainstorms are good. I was considering running the Mikasa brainstorm when I was running the 8-win build, but I didn't see as much of a reason to run it in this build because the advantage that I feel the Mikasa has over the Eren is that it's able to salvage these out. Although at the same time, sometimes when you're like very low on deck, so like let's say you're like 2 climaxes and 5 cards, it's much safer to use a Mikasa brainstorm than it is to do an Eren brainstorm, because Eren brainstorm can end up plussing you 0. So that's definitely a point to make for Mikasa. The center power on this is also very relevant though, just for like killing things with like your Eren combo. There's like an argument that can be made for both, but I feel like in decks where you're going to be running this Armin, you're more often than not going to want to run more copies of this than the Mikasa brainstorm. Like I said, 2 Mikasa runners, less of this than this because this is yellow, and this can also whiff on these 6 things in addition to your 8 climaxes, so it's not as reliable. It also can't kill things like this can, because this is 3-5, so you can kill things with it. Let's talk about the Kristas before I talk about these. So the Kristas, just the on-play salvage Ricky. She helps you grab things that you mull. With this deck, I really like to mulligan extremely aggressively. So sometimes like I'll mulligan just like all 5. Let's say my opening hand is like 1 brainstorm and like a bunch of stuff that's not level 0 and it's not the wind, then I'll probably like mull 5 to like try to hit like one of my 6 runners, and then like especially the wind. The wind is very important, obviously.
Only 4 Kristas?
Only four Kristas.
Only 4 Kristas.
I had only 3 Kristas for the longest time, and this guy ordered a 4th Krista just for me to play the 4th one. So
yeah, I know.
So thanks,
and like he wouldn't stop bothering me about it for literally 3 weeks.
I kept memeing on him because we were testing, and then I kept saying like, oh man, my level 0 could have been so much better this game if I just had drawn Krista. Oh, maybe if I had 4 Kristas in the deck, maybe I would have drawn Krista. But like, yeah, very good card. You want to be able to hit level 1 faster, and she allows you to grab Eren's. She even allows you to aggressively mulligan these away, aggressively clock these because you can get them back later using her effect. And Salvage Ricky, just all around very good effect. And then lastly for the level 0 line, so 16 level 0s in total. The last 2 zeros I ran were these 2 Titan Bombs. So obviously they're off color, off trait, and things like that. Thomas was arguing with me earlier, not so much arguing, but like we were discussing about how many I should run. He felt that I should run 3 or more if I was going to try to justify running it for the Kimono matchup, because this gets rid of Kaban. I see his argument there, but I just liked it at 2. It's, as far as what it does, it's a bottom deck bomb, and then you can pay 1 and then send it standing from stage to memory, and then you can salvage the 3/2 healer Eren. The thing that I really liked about the card is that all your other stockouts are basically the 1/1 gear, Krista's, or your Brainstorm, and they all really mess with like the state you have currently in the game. So like the Eren Brainstorm can disrupt your deck state. So like if you're very low on deck and you don't want to like go through the rest of your deck, then this can be used to pay 1 stock instead of this. And then the Krista, she clocks you. Sometimes you don't want to clock yourself, so you can use this. So this is like a pretty good stock out. And it's just an emergency bonder for a healer if you need it in the late game. So I think it's really cool. I ran these over what I guess would be the most common substitute for these, which is the Eren stock bomb. I know Yuwei likes his 4 of Eren stock bombs.
I think the Connie would have been better personally, because I think it's better matchups. But
Was it good in the tournament? Like, did it come up?
Yeah, this card was actually like very helpful. There were actually multiple occasions where I used this to get rid of like an on-death ability. Well, obviously the stock Suicider would have done the same thing, but like, I mean, just the fact that like the card was relevant, it was good. And then there were actually a lot of times where I used this to pay out stock in situations where like these would have like messed up my state of the game, and I just wanted to pay out a stock so I could like get to the so I could grab this and then pay out like climax or something. So yeah, it was definitely relevant. Level 1, of course, we have the stupid Eren. This card is the sole reason that I hate playing against AOT, and honestly, after playing AOT, I've been testing it for like a month just for this. It's not fun. It's not even fun to play it for me, really, at this point. I'm probably not going to play it anymore after this. But for what he does, he climax combos with the wind, the B wind, and the A wind. Yeah.
oh my god, the memes!
Alright, so he climax combos with the wind. First of all, on attack, he gains 500 power for every other Armin, Mikasa, and Eren that you have on the stage. And throughout the early game, pretty much everything you play is going to be Eren, Mikasa, or Armin, except maybe Krista. But if you're playing Krista and you're like accelerating yourself to level 1, then you're probably doing it to take advantage of your opponent's level 0 field, and they probably won't have any defense against Eren anyway, so that's fine.
Broken card.
On reverse, with the climax combo, he lets you salvage a maneuver gear from your waiting room, and he gains the ability, when your opponent front attacks him during their next turn, you have the option to return him to your hand. And sometimes you want to do this, like you might want to just get another Eren in case they're going to try to kill him. If you have like another wind, you can go back for another round of reverses.
The combo is stupid because people will try to kill the Eren. They'll find out the Eren bounced back, and then they have stuff that you could just like run over with again with Eren, because Eren gets insanely big.
I think it's actually quite interesting. There were quite a few people that didn't know exactly what the card did. Here.
That's insane. Like, that card is really big in English, so the fact that people wouldn't know at Nationals...
This set's really big in English, so I mean...
Yeah, like, the fact that people wouldn't know what the set does in Nationals is, like, pretty random.
Okay, so, 3 of the Armin Rize, I dropped it from 4 for a Mikasa runner because I wanted a more stable early game.
Do you feel like the 1-0 Armin would have been better at 4 today?
No. I know Kit ran it at 4. He also minused off at once, though. That was interesting. The fact that I want to commit so many slots to good non-yellow cards in this deck, it just made me feel like the card wasn't
It's consistent.
it wasn't as consistent. Like there would be times where like I emergency need a mill, like, oh my god, I'm out like 7 climaxes, I need a mill right now, and then it ends up like minusing me because I mill like the last climax in like 2 like Mikasa and like a bomb or like whatever, and so I just like randomly minus for doing things that like I want to like not die, and then I just end up like dying anyway. So it just felt kind of bad. That being said, there were times where I was like looking for this card, but it wasn't as often as probably other players. I didn't look to this card for a lot of situations. Like if there's something I want to get out of my hand, I would usually try to use the maneuver gear to do it or something like that.
Multiple times you would -1 on your turn for the maneuver gear to try to get something from your deck.
I definitely don't try to do that. Like if I can.
No, I'm asking, did you?
Oh, as much as possible, I would try to use these on the opponent's turn. Like even if they're like attacking some small thing and my field is full and it can't run, it's more value to use this on your opponent's turn when they're attacking, because that way you can thin out your deck and then potentially cancel more.
So when you open with maneuver gear, do you usually ditch it or do you keep it in hand?
It depends on the matchup. I actually screwed up against Kit because I dumped like my entire hand and I dropped double maneuver gear, and I was like, I like dropped it and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I just dropped double maneuver gear. It ended up not really mattering much because our match was potato, but it definitely does. In some matchups, you are going to want to keep this AOT. You definitely want to keep as many of these in your hand. Like you want to mull everything that's not this or wins, basically, in AOT mirror.
For me personally, I would always play the I would generally have like 8 cards in my hand at the start of my turn, so I'll just play the maneuver gear to like -1, and then I would just use the Eren to grab it back.
I definitely never had that many cards in my hand, like ever. Like,
really?
Ever. Like
I would always have like 8 or 9 cards at the start of my turn.
Like I think the most I ever did was like double Eren, and it brought my hand up to like 5 cards.
No way.
Yeah, I never triple Eren the entire tournament. I even only drew wind in like half my games. Okay, so anyways, what was I talking about? Yeah, you definitely want to keep as many of these and wins in the mirror, because the wind is obviously good if you want to be proactive and try to take advantage of your opponent. And then this is good if you don't end up drawing the win and you need to play defensively. So you want to be able to spec into either option, because the AOT matchup is so volatile and basically anything can happen. The 2 Eren globals, so it's global 1k to all of your other core characters on your turn, and you can tap it to get 500. It's pretty important for allowing you to get all your Erens to kill like all your opponent's stuff. The thing that I found awkward was that like you usually want to like play a brainstorm during the early game. So if your back row is brainstorm plus this, then you can't use this to move your stuff to the back row. It's a little bit awkward, and I think that's like kind of an argument that I would potentially want to go 2 and 2. And then like more access to the waiting room is also potentially very good. But yeah, so having this in the background is pretty important. There were very few situations in like the month that I've done of testing where I like push this up to front row and then like try to do something with like bring it back with like the maneuver gear, bring it back to the back row. But there are situations where I guess that comes up.
It's a good play sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, so level 2s, this is where my build deviates a lot from a lot of other players' builds. So a lot of other players, they play the Mikasa change, 2-1 into 3-2. And personally, I chose to run this. The 3-2 Mikasa, running all the 3-2 Mikasa cards really screws up your yellow to red ratio, but I also really liked what this combination did for the deck. So starting with the 2-1 Resonance Eren, at the start of your climax phase, you can reveal the 3-2 Eren Titan in your hand, and then he gets a soul. When your opponent front attacks this, you can pay 1, kill himself, to summon up to 1 copy of the Eren Titan from your hand, and the Eren Titan becomes the new defending character. So basically, he can be a 7,500 counter for himself if he wants, and then he's also a 1-cost 2 soul beater. The advantages between this and the Mikasa, apart from the color thing, this card gets immediate value in that it's a 2 soul beater right off the bat, assuming you already have this in your hand. There are a lot of cases where your opponent is just not gonna want to deal with this, so they're gonna like throw a chump at it. Honestly, I think like the incorrect play is to play an early play and like try to walk into it, because I mean yeah, I think the correct play is if you want to commit an early play, you need to not put it across from this, and then you need to chump a weenie. But that's what makes this card cool, is that you're paying 1 stock for a 2 soul beater over multiple turns. You're getting value. It's very cheap, very efficient. And yeah, sometimes people just walk into this. So,
was there ever a match where you felt like this card was useless? I'm assuming it's a no.
Never, ever, ever.
Okay.
This is actually one of my favorite cards.
Did it win you any games? I'm assuming it won you like at least 2 games.
It like super duper won me round 4 and round 6.
Which matchups?
Okay, so I played against ReZero round 4. He played double Rem early play, walked into one of them, and then I moved it and I killed the other one. So like.
Oh, that's the value.
Oh my god, That's so evil.
Round 6, basically same thing. He even like acknowledged that it was a bad play, and like I guess I agree it was kind of a bad play. He was playing Level 5 Sunshine. He played Yo Chica at level 2, and then he fronted the Chica into it, and then I killed it, and then I moved it over to the Yo and I killed that too. So okay, yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, I think this card is really hard to ignore for your opponent, because like they're either gonna leave this 2-soul beater or they're gonna super give up a card, and I still get a 2-soul beater, which can eventually potentially turn into a healer. So I'm gonna skip these other level 2s for now. I want to talk about what these do. So the 3/2 Eren Titan, he's the one that can come out by the 2/1. When he comes into play, until the end of the turn following the turn that he came into play. I know it's kind of like weird. But just think of it this way. If he comes into play on your opponent's turn, then this effect lasts until the end of my turn. If he's played on my turn, it lasts until the end of the opponent's turn. So he gets 4,500 power, and he gains the continuous ability. Neither player can use character counters during this card's battle. And the fact that it's character counters is very important, which means you can still use your 3D maneuver gears. But like they can't use like an anti-change punch on it. So it's like really cool. When he's played from hand, you can choose the 3/2 Eren from your waiting room, put it under him as a marker, face down. And then if he gets reversed, you can pay 1, send him to waiting room, and then you summon the marker, and then at that point the marker heals. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, this is the card that is really like the main piece of like running this combination, because this is the card that you want your opponent to be afraid of. You want your opponent to have to play around this, and this is the card that's going to get you a lot of value in terms of keeping cards on field as well as keeping up damage, especially if you aren't drawing into climaxes.
How good does it feel when you play a climax and you show for the extra soul for this, and they just take 5 to the face?
I mean, that never happened, but I mean, like,
that must feel great.
I mean, like, I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. I mean, like, Weiss is Weiss. Like, sometimes people just eat damage, but the thing that's for sure about this card is that it's a really nice way for me to gain mid-game value with very low investment, and that's what I really like about it over the Mikasa. Even if like the heal's delayed, or like sometimes you don't get the heal at all. The 3/2 Eren is on play heal, and he has on attack if you have 2 or more other core characters, he gains 2,000. He also has a climax combo with a win climax that I don't play, which lets you pseudo restand by summoning these from memory.
He used to play it, and he was like totally like, oh, this is the best. And then
it was like pretty good, but I wanted to try this.
We get the tournament here. I get here on Saturday, and he shows me the deck list. He's like, look what I put in, and I'm like, just mind blown that he took it out after like 3 weeks.
I think this is just a stronger finisher, to be honest.
How long did it take you? How long did it take you to convert to Mikasa?
I did it like the night before we flew.
Oh.
So like, I tested against Jono. I thought it was good. I figured I'd play it. But I wanted to keep this because I felt it was good value, and it just had a good place in the deck, I felt. The other 2 ones, we have the one of Armin. So you can rest him to give 2,500 power and hexproof to one of your other characters. I think it only gives to core. Yeah, it only gives to core. You're never buffing this. Like, what? The only way you're buffing, the only way you would try to buff this, when you wait, actually, hold on.
What does this set do? So you've never buffed it.
I mean, like, the only time you would ever want to buff it is like if you already had Armin in back row, and then you had like 2 cards in front of Armin, and you wanted to like cover a 3rd hexproof lane or something. But like, the amount of times that'll come up is like actually never. Yeah. So.
TLR had to do it.
But not with this.
Oh,
you can't hexproof this because this only hexproofs core, and then this only gives hexproof core. But like, yeah, so you mainly just play this at level 2 if you want to get the change into level 3, Armin. And then I guess in like matchups like Solovru, where sometimes you want to get all of your lanes hexproofed, you might want to grab this back out, and then your back row is both this and this. An important thing about this card is that it has to be rested in order for you to change it. So you really don't want to mess up and just like forget to use the tap ability because you don't need the power or something, and then you can't change. So
did you do the change at all today?
I did change multiple times today, probably like 2 or 3 times. I also remember there was actually a pretty spicy thing that Thomas did to me in an online game on Skype that I actually ended up doing today, where he put this in the front row, ran it direct, changed into this, and then maneuver geared it back into the back row on the opponent's turn. That was spicy. I actually did that today.
It's a good play. It's a good play. It's like
It was because like I needed an attacker. I didn't have an attacker, but I had these. And like if you have this to spare, like sometimes you just need to do that. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not even sure it's necessarily like a spicy play so much as it's just like a play that you can do when like you're in like a suboptimal position. But yeah, the Armin that he changes into is an assist. He gives core characters in front of him 2,000 power and hexproof, and he himself is also hexproof. So like the opponent can't bounce him, and they can't bounce the characters in front. When he's played from hand, either by hard playing him or the change, because the change is encore step. You send this to waiting room, and then you play the 3/2 from your hand. So that procs his ability. You can check up the top X cards of your deck, add one of them to your hand without showing, send the rest of the waiting room, and the X is the number of core characters you have. So the fact that the change is at the encore step means that you are able to change into this before your other characters die. So like if your characters were reversed, you get to change, and then they count towards the X before they even go to waiting room. So sometimes that's relevant, but I mean like the card is just very good. He replaces himself. He has a very good support ability. I definitely think that you should run this. Okay, so that's pretty much the Armin, right?
yeah, you described the effects. Sorry, the camera cut out.
Camera storage went max, so I deleted some like old videos or something. The last level 2 is the Eren stock bomb. When he crashes into a card that's higher level than your opponent's level, you can send it to stock and then send the bottom stock of your opponent out. Like, I'm trying to think if I use this. I think I used it like once. Honestly, it wasn't too useful because usually, like, honestly, this killed more early plays than this did. This actually killed more early plays. This killed like 5 early plays today.
Is this the card that comes out after the tournament? Maybe.
That's assuming I play AOT anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I think it still deserves a spot in the deck. But I just think this is also great. And lastly, we have the Mikasa. This is the thing that I took out the Eren re-stand for this. So it is a very, very strong card though. On play, draw up to 1 card, gain 2,000. Climax combo with the split 2k1. On attack, you can burn 1, and then
chance.
without the climax, if it reverses a battle opponent, you can pay 2, and that works on either player's turn. So it's able to get 2 instances of damage, 2 instances of burn damage in addition to its attack. And the fact that the climax is a split 2k1 means that you can modulate your damage in like many different ways. So you can just like adjust for like very precise amounts of damage, and that's really good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah,
There's really not much else to say about this card, honestly.
Do you think it's broken?
I think it's very good. I'm not even sure if what I can call broken in this game anymore, because like everything is like very powerful. A lot of cards have like their own special like niches. Like obviously this card, it has a weakness. It has a very distinct weakness to like Kimono Friends, and like where other burners like they don't have a distinct weakness to Kimono Friends. Like 3/2 Eren restand, it doesn't get affected by Kimono Friends at all. So like some decks will have a better time against this. Some decks won't have a better time against this. So it like all kind of depends. So do you have any questions, Yuwei?
I guess I should ask a couple questions. A couple important questions. How many times did you like kill someone from position with this card like before hitting 3? Like, did it ever kill someone before they were at 3?
Never.
So it didn't really do that.
Zero times.
All right. The other thing is when you play this, like you said that this was an efficient early play option. Explain that, because this is a 3 different card investment, 6 slots. It costs us 5. So what do you mean by efficient?
Okay, so what I mean by that is that it depends on the way you play the deck, really. Because after I like do my first round of errands or whatever, then I'll usually try to grab I usually actually try to just grab these, because I don't assume that I'm going to reliably hit like another round of wins and another round of combo or whatever. So this is the most secure option in my opinion. And so I commit my like maneuver gears. Like if I'm gonna maneuver gear search, usually I want to grab these. Or brainstorm, I want to grab these, because in my opinion, this is my smoothest transition into mid and late game. And so having this in the waiting room isn't even like, it's just like a bonus, because having the pressure and the efficiency of these 2 cards is what I'm really prioritizing with playing these cards. So Yeah.
What? Who?
Your local suck.
Your local suck.
So yeah, does that make sense though?
Yeah, I got it. Should I? Congrats to this guy for getting first, apparently.
So like yeah, and like if I see these in my early hand, like I might like hold one piece and then like I'll use a maneuver gear to search out the other one because I prioritize it so much and I feel that it's a very stable way to play the mid game.
Dope. Other than that, it's solid, man. Congrats. Top 6. I guess.
Top 16, and then June's OP.
How many do you want?
Alright, this deck profile was recorded by the one and only Yuwei Peng. Shoutouts to him, strictlybrokentcg.com. You can see it on the shirt here. With no one cares about him. Here, strictlybrokentcg.com. You can check him out there. And do you have anything else you want to say, Mr. Reporter Man?
I'm proud that you played my favorite deck, man. It's fucking
Your
crazy.
favorite deck? Whoa! What's going on?
Well, actually, Penguins. Penguins is my favorite, but this is my favorite to play.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much done here. This has been Peshcats with Yuwei Peng and Neel and yeah.
And
see.
Kit, wherever he is.
Kit, where'd Kit? Kit, say hi. And Kit too. Kit was here.
It's actually not that.
And Kit was in this video too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is Peshcats. See you next time. Bye.